Welcome to the deep dive. Have you ever paused to consider just how strategically vital language is on the global stage? It's far more than just, communication. It's a tool of diplomacy, a way to share culture, and honestly, a really powerful lever of soft power that often flies under the radar. Today, we're going to embark on a truly remarkable journey. It's a deep dive into this comprehensive, dedicated effort by the government of India, specifically its Ministry of External Affairs, to promote Hindi, and not just within India's borders, but really, truly worldwide.
Yeah, and our insights today, they're grounded in this incredibly detailed official annual report. It's from India's Ministry of External Affairs, giving us, an unparalleled look into their language policies and initiatives from 2023. What's really fascinating here, I think, is how multi-layered and strategic these efforts are. It really reflects a broader, quite deliberate commitment to cultural diplomacy. We're not talking about sort of casual initiatives or, just preserving culture. This is proactive. It's well-funded. It's a national strategy.
You're absolutely right. And our mission today, yours and mine, is to unpack the sheer scale of this, the intricate scope, and the very specific ways they're doing this linguistic promotion. We're going to try and reveal the maybe surprising depth of these efforts and think about what it means, for the future of language, for global culture, and that complex dance of international relations. We'll look at everything from these major global conferences bringing together leaders and scholars from dozens of nations, right down to the grassroots teaching programs that are extending Hindi's reach into communities far, far beyond India's actual borders. It's a really powerful illustration, I think, of how a nation can leverage its linguistic heritage as a significant asset internationally. Aye, aye. The core mandate. Official language policy implementation. Okay, so to really get a handle on the scale of India's ambition here, we have to start at the beginning, right? The core policy mandate itself. Our source materials, it makes it absolutely clear. Implementing the official language policy of the government of India isn't just some administrative task for the Ministry of External Affairs. Not just ticking a box, no, it's stated right there explicitly as a priority. And they pursue this priority through what's described as nothing less than a comprehensive scheme for the promotion and propagation of Hindi in India as well as abroad. Comprehensive scheme. That's not just a casual effort, then, is it? It sounds like a full-blown intentional plan.
Exactly. And that word priority, it's incredibly significant. When a government ministry declares something a priority, it signals a real shift. It's moving from just, say, passive cultural appreciation to active geopolitical strategy. This isn't just about preserving a language, it's about active, top-down, organized promotion. It means resources, sustained attention, serious strategic planning, all consistently dedicated to this goal. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it ties directly into national identity, doesn't it? And how a nation projects itself onto the world stage. Language is, after all, such a fundamental pillar of culture. Promoting it globally is a direct way to project that culture, to enhance what we call soft power. It's about building connections, fostering deeper understanding, maybe forging relationships through that shared linguistic understanding, which can then, pave the way for stronger political ties, economic links, cultural bonds. It sort of creates what you might call them linguistic allies on the global stage.
Right, linguistic allies. That's a great way to put it. And when they say comprehensive scheme, it really does seem to cover every possible angle. It's not just about making sure official documents are bilingual or, internal government memos. It's about genuinely embedding Hindi both at home and across the globe. You really see that reflected in the sheer range of activities they undertake. From those high-profile international events we'll get into, Donapio, like you said, very detailed internal checks within government offices to make sure it's actually happening. This whole approach, treating language not as something static, but as a dynamic, living tool for diplomacy, it's just fascinating to me.
It absolutely speaks to a long-term vision. This comprehensive scheme, it implies an understanding that language can be this powerful bridge. It can foster that deeper understanding, build relationships that go beyond just the traditional diplomatic channels. By investing in language promotion like this, India is nurturing goodwill, building cultural affinity, and subtly, maybe, but powerfully, influencing how the world sees it. It's about establishing Hindi as a recognized language, a respected one, an accessible global language, which in turn elevates India's standing and influence internationally. It's really a strategic investment in cultural diplomacy, designed to yield pretty significant geopolitical returns over time, I'd argue. 2. Global Showcase. The 12th World Hindi Conference, WHE.
Okay, so with that fundamental commitment clear, this idea of being a priority, the next logical step in this strategy seems to have been a really grand gesture, a global event designed to put Hindi firmly on the international map. And that's exactly what the 12th World Hindi Conference, the WHC, seems to have achieved. Our source tells us this landmark international event was organized in Fiji, and crucially, in collaboration with the government of Fiji. It took place from February 15th to 17th, 2023 in the city of Nadi. Now, Fiji, that's an interesting choice for this conference, isn't it? Beyond just showing global reach, what kind of strategic advantages might India have seen in hosting such a major event there?
Well, that's a really insightful question. The choice of Fiji is, I think, incredibly strategic. It's not just geographically distant, which emphasizes the global reach, you're right, but Fiji also have this very significant population of Indian origin. Many have maintained linguistic and cultural ties to India for generations. So that demographic connection creates a kind of natural constituency, doesn't it? A strong foundation of existing interest in Hindi. And collaborating with the government of Fiji, like the source mentions, that suggests a pretty robust bilateral relationship already exists, and a shared interest in strengthening those cultural bonds. The inauguration itself, well, it speaks volumes. It was jointly opened by the president of Fiji, Rata William Katonaver, and India's External Affairs Minister, the EAM, on February 15th. This isn't just a cultural get-together. It's high-level diplomatic endorsement. It lends immense credibility and official backing right from the start. It sends a clear signal. This is an event of national and international significance, not just some niche academic gathering.
Yeah, that joint inauguration really underscores the diplomatic angle. And the theme for this conference, it really caught my eye. Hindi. From traditional knowledge to artificial intelligence. That's a truly fascinating juxtaposition, isn't it? Linking ancient wisdom with, well, cutting-edge technology. What does that particular theme tell us about the broader vision for Hindi, beyond just being a language for everyday chat?
This theme is, I think, a masterstroke in linguistic branding, you could say. It's India essentially declaring to the world that Hindi isn't just a language of, classical poetry or ancient scriptures or just history. It's declaring that it's a language ready for the future, ready for the challenges, the opportunities of the digital age. By explicitly connecting traditional knowledge with artificial intelligence, they're signaling Hindi's adaptability, its capacity for innovation, its relevance in really technical and scientific areas. It aims to make Hindi attractive maybe to a younger, more tech-savvy generation globally, positioning India not just as a cultural powerhouse, but maybe as a thought leader in integrating ancient wisdom with future tech. And doing all that through the lens of its national language, it counters any perception, I suppose, of Hindi being stagnant or purely traditional. Instead, it frames it as dynamic, versatile, future-ready. That kind of branding is just crucial for a language aiming for global prominence.
Yeah, future ready. I like that. The scale of participation was impressive too. We're talking about roughly 1,000 participants from over 31 countries, with about 500 participants coming from India itself and 300 from Fiji alone. That's a huge international turnout for a language conference, isn't it? And a significant chunk coming from the host nation.
Absolutely. That strong contingent from Fiji really underscores the local and regional enthusiasm alongside the broader international presence. But it's the makeup, the composition of the high-level delegations that really highlights the profound diplomatic weight of this conference. The Indian delegation, as you mentioned, led by the External Affairs Minister, the EAM. It also included the Minister of State for External Affairs, MOS, VM, the Minister of State for Home Affairs, members of Parliament, senior officials, and even well-known Hindi scholars. It shows this real multi-stakeholder approach, bringing together political leadership, administrative expertise, and academic authority. It's like a whole-of-government, whole-of-society commitment.
And what's truly remarkable, I think, is the sheer level of engagement from the Fijian government side. We're talking their president, H.E. Ratu William Maivali Katonaver, the prime minister, H.E. Sitiveni Rabuka, all three deputy prime ministers, Biman Prasad, Manoa Kamikamika, and Vili Mekavoka, the Minister of Education, the Minister for Multi-Ethnic Affairs and Sugar, the Minister for Employment, Productivity, and Industrial Relations, plus loads of other senior government officials. That's basically their entire top leadership present and actively participating. Why does that specific scale of participation from the host nation speak such volumes about the conference's significance?
Well, it's just an undeniable testament, isn't it, to the importance Fiji placed on the event, and by extension on its relationship with India. When a host nation commits its highest-ranking officials, including, like you said, virtually the entire cabinet, it elevates the conference way beyond just an academic or cultural gathering. It becomes a pivotal diplomatic event. It signifies that the Fijian government sees promoting Hindi and strengthening cultural ties with India as a national priority, something impacting areas from education and multi-ethnic affairs right through to employment and broader bilateral relations. This kind of high-level engagement ensures that the outcomes, whatever they are taken seriously, that they have broad governmental support for future implementation, and crucially, that they foster deeper, more integrated partnerships between the two nations. It's a really powerful statement of mutual respect, shared cultural heritage, and strategic alliance. This isn't just about celebrating a language. It's about leveraging it for quite profound diplomatic and strategic gain.
Leveraging it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it wasn't just about who showed up or what they discussed. There were tangible outcomes, official recognition too. Our source tells us 12 Hindi scholars from India, 19 scholars from abroad, and 2 institutions each from India and abroad were selected for this prestigious Vishwa Hindi Samman. That's significant global recognition for contributions to Hindi. Plus, several books and periodicals were also launched on the sidelines, showing real academic and literary output. And the chairperson of the organizing committee, the MOS, VM, even formally read out an outcome statement during the closing ceremony. It really highlights that this wasn't just a gathering, it was a platform for official recognition, tangible outputs, all designed to achieve that specific goal, popularizing Hindi globally.
These are crucial details. They elevate the conference from just being an event to being a strategic instrument. The Vishwa Hindi Samman, for instance, it doesn't just recognize past contributions. It acts as this powerful incentive for future scholarship, future dedication to the language worldwide. It elevates individuals and institutions who champion Hindi, creating this global network of acclaimed experts, launching new publications. That underscores the intellectual vitality of the language, its ongoing development. It shows Hindi is a living, evolving academic and literary force, and the formal outcome statement that further solidifies the conference's impact. It translates discussions into concrete affirmations or maybe recommendations for future action. So when the source explicitly states the conference met with the desired success in popularizing Hindi as a global language, it reflects these carefully planned elements. It's not just rhetoric. It's a reflection of a deliberate strategy to elevate Hindi's global standing by building a global community around it, creating that network of advocates and practitioners, and producing measurable results. 3. Sustained promotion. Regular events and celebrations.
Okay, so beyond the huge sort of landmark conferences like the World Hindi Conference, the ministry also engages in sustained regular promotion, making sure Hindi stays in the global consciousness year-round. Take World Hindi Day, celebrated on January 10th, 2023. Our source confirms it was observed globally by all our missions and posts, abroad as well as in headquarters, and there was significant financial backing too. A substantial INR 2.06 crores granted to missions and posts specifically for its celebration. That's quite a bit of money.
It is. And this consistent annual observance, coupled with that kind of financial commitment, it really reveals that it's not a one-off thing. It's an ingrained part of the ministry's annual operational plan. This dedicated World Hindi Day, it functions almost like a global cultural calendar event, doesn't it? Ensuring continuous visibility and engagement for Hindi worldwide. For the missions and posts abroad, it gives them a regular, structured opportunity to engage with the local population, the diaspora, academic institutions, fostering a sense of community and shared cultural heritage around the language. This isn't just about one day of celebration. It's about building a tradition, reinforcing the language's presence, and consistently signaling its importance internationally. And that financial support ensures these celebrations aren't just symbolic. They can be robust, impactful, reaching a wide audience.
And then there's Hindi Divas on September 14, 2023, along with something called Hindi Pakwada, which is a fortnight-long celebration leading up to it. Now, while Hindi Divas has a strong domestic focus, this Pakwada clearly had a significant global reach too, with enthusiastic participation by regional passport offices as well as our missions and posts abroad. Again, financial support was provided, this time INR 1.54 crores, for these celebrations. What does this integration of sort of domestic and international efforts tell us about their overall strategy?
Yeah, the integration here is a really crucial nuance. Hindi Divas and Hindi Pakwada represent this quite unique approach. They directly link internal celebrations of the official language within India to its global promotion through missions abroad. This dual focus ensures that the internal emphasis on Hindi, particularly within government bodies like the regional passport offices, RPOs, reinforces and is reinforced by the external promotional activities. It mobilizes a broader base of participation too, not just dedicated Hindi scholars or diaspora members, but also government employees and maybe local communities just interested in Indian culture. It's kind of a cyclical reinforcement. What happens inside India is mirrored and supported by efforts outside, creating this cohesive, comprehensive strategy that shows consistency and commitment across all levels.
What I find particularly compelling about this is the sheer variety of activities they organize during these periods. It's not just, formal ceremonies. There's a real effort to get people involved through creative and competitive stuff. The source lists things like Hindi essay writing, Hindi noting and drafting, a Hindi poetry competition, an official language quiz competition, and even a Hindi Vityansh translation competition. That sounds genuinely engaging, actually, and quite a clever way to promote the practical application of the language, not just appreciation.
That's where that word comprehensive really shines again, isn't it? These diverse activities, they foster both practical application and maybe a deeper appreciation of the language. So, for example, a Hindi poetry competition encourages creative expression, that emotional connection, while something like noting and drafting competitions promote its official and administrative use, which is essential for its role as an official language. The quiz competition builds general knowledge and engagement, and the Vaikansh translation focuses on practical linguistic skills. They move beyond just passive observance to active engagement, encouraging people to actually use Hindi in different contexts, creatively, academically, administratively. This kind of hands-on engagement is surely far more effective for sustained language propagation than just ceremonies. It helps build proficiency, confidence, a sense of ownership among participants. It makes learning feel fun and rewarding.
And it doesn't stop there either. They also organize regional Hindi conferences. These are more localized efforts, spearheaded by missions abroad, in association with local institutions engaged in the promotion and propagation of Hindi and Indian culture. How do these regional efforts sort of fit in or complement the larger global conferences we talked about?
The importance of these regional conferences for tailored engagement, it really can't be overstated. While global conferences like the WHC set that high-level diplomatic tone and visibility, the regional ones allow for more culturally specific approaches. They foster genuine local ownership of Hindi promotion. By partnering with local institutions, maybe universities, cultural centers, community groups, the ministry taps into existing networks and expertise on the ground. This makes the promotion efforts more relevant, more sustainable, more organic, perhaps, within specific geographic and cultural contexts. It's about nurturing grassroots interest and building communities that champion Hindi from within, rather than just imposing it from the outside. This decentralized approach, it ensures broader penetration and deeper roots for Hindi, adapting to the unique needs and interests of various regions beyond India. It builds this global network of localized champions for the language. 4. Infrastructure and institutional mechanisms for promotion.
Okay, so we've talked about the big international events, the regular celebrations, the regional efforts, but none of that happens without, solid infrastructure and robust institutional mechanisms behind it all. One particularly intriguing initiative mentioned in the report is the Atal Pashantar Yojana, or ABY. Our source states it was instituted for recruiting and training language experts with the specific outcome of creating a pool of specialized interpreters. That phrase, future-proof infrastructure, really jumped out at me earlier. This isn't just about celebrating, it's about building a robust professional ecosystem around Hindi. What does this tell us about the specific linguistic needs India anticipates on the global stage? It seems quite forward-thinking.
That's a fantastic question, and yes, the ABY is indeed far more strategic than it might first appear. Think of it almost as India's dedicated linguistic strike force, maybe. In today's really complex multilateral diplomacy, accurate, nuanced communication isn't just polite, it's absolute mission critical, isn't it? A misinterpretation could derail sensitive negotiations, it could sour bilateral relationships, maybe even create international incidents. So this initiative, it's about professionalizing India's diplomatic communication toolkit, ensuring that whether it's high-stakes trade talks with a non-English speaking partner or intricate cultural dialogues, Hindi can be a seamless, unambiguous bridge. It signals a belief, I think, that India's voice, articulated through Hindi, needs to be heard and understood precisely, without relying solely on third-party interpreters who might not fully grasp the cultural nuances or the specialized jargon. It also implies they're anticipating a future where Hindi plays a larger role in international bodies, demanding readily available, high-caliber linguistic support for things like simultaneous and consecutive interpretation. This is fundamentally an investment in human capital for diplomatic effectiveness.
Right, so they're not just hoping Hindi becomes a global language, they're actively investing in the people, the human infrastructure, to support its function as one.
Right.
What kind of training might that involve? I mean, are they focusing on specific regions or dialects, Or is it a broad-based approach to interpretation? And are there parallels here? Do other major powers, say China with Mandarin or France with French, do they invest similarly in this kind of linguistic professionalization?
Precisely. It's a proactive build-out of a vital diplomatic capability, not just passive investment. While the source doesn't detail the exact curriculum, you can infer the training under ABY would likely cover a whole range, from highly specific technical vocabulary, diplomacy, economics, science, to those subtle cultural nuances that are just critical for effective cross-cultural communication. It would probably encompass skills in simultaneous and consecutive interpretation, maybe even specialized tracks for different fields, like legal, technical, or media translation. And yes, absolutely, you see similar, though often larger scale, investments from other nations. Think of France with the Alliance Française, Germany with the Goethe Institute, or the extensive Confucius Institute promoted by China. They all understand that language proficiency, especially in interpretation and translation, is kind of the invisible scaffolding for national influence and effective diplomacy. It's about ensuring their narratives, their positions, are conveyed accurately, bypassing potential linguistic filters or distortions, and solidifying their linguistic presence globally. It's really a fundamental pillar of modern soft power.
Invisible scaffolding, I like that. And to support this global reach, there's also mention of a detailed network involved in promoting Hindi abroad. This network includes Indian missions and posts, naturally, but it also actively engages persons of Indian origin, PIOs, and non-resident Indians, NRIs, basically, the global Indian diaspora, plus local NGOs and various cultural organizations and associations. And the ministry also directly supplied teaching materials to missions and posts for Hindi promotion. And get this. They extended financial support of approximately INR 86.93 lakhs to missions posts abroad to engage teachers to conduct Hindi classes during the period. That's direct, substantial investment in education, isn't it, on a global scale?
Oh, absolutely crucial. This detailed network is how language promotion moves from being just high-level policy to actual on-the-ground implementation. The Indian diplomatic missions act as the official channel, sure, but engaging PIOs, NRIs, and local organizations taps into existing community enthusiasm, existing cultural infrastructure, and that vital local knowledge. The diaspora, for instance, often forms the backbone of cultural preservation and language learning outside the home country, right? Providing teaching materials helps ensure some standardization and quality. And direct financial support for teachers, those are concrete, practical steps that directly enable language learning in classrooms in community centers all over the world. This multi-pronged sort of distributed approach ensures that Hindi promotion isn't just a government directive, but a genuinely community-supported endeavor. It fosters organic growth, sustained interest across different demographics and regions. It builds a real grassroots movement for the language, which is incredibly powerful for long-term propagation.
Yeah, it sounds like they're really building capacity from the ground up wherever they can and leveraging those existing community ties. And it extends to academic support, too. The division coordinates work related to the grant of scholarships to foreign students to study Hindi at Kendriya Hindi Sansthan, Agra. That seems like a smart way to foster long-term academic engagement.
Indeed. Offering scholarships to foreign students to study in India is a highly effective long-game strategy. It cultivates future generations of Hindi speakers and scholars globally. These students, they don't just become proficient in the language, they get deeply immersed in Indian culture. Then, when they return to their home countries, they often become these incredibly powerful ambassadors for both the language and the culture. They create deeper, more enduring connections than any short-term initiative could possibly achieve. It's really an investment in academic diplomacy, building bridges through education and intellectual exchange, nurturing genuine passion and expertise that can last a lifetime. This approach ensures that propagating Hindi isn't just about casual learning, but also about rigorous academic pursuit and deep cultural immersion. It creates a lasting impact on global academia and cultural understanding.
Okay, so beyond all this external outreach, the conferences, the celebrations, the networks, the scholarships, there's also a significant internal focus. The division is entrusted with monitoring the use of the Hindi language in the regional passport offices, RPO, which are, very public-facing offices, and they're actively doing it. 5 RPO inspections were conducted successfully during the year in specific places like Dehradun, Kolkata, Bhubaneswar, Raipur, Goa on specific dates. It's fascinating how this isn't just about external promotion. There's a significant internal focus on making sure the official language policy is actually being used, being optimized within government offices themselves. It almost humanizes the policy, doesn't it? Making sure it's alive in day-to-day operations.
Hmm. This internal compliance mechanism is, I think, a profound testament to the seriousness with which the official language policy is viewed. It's one thing to declare a language a priority. It's quite another to rigorously monitor and enforce its use within your own governmental machinery. The fact that 5 regional passport offices, these high-traffic, public-facing entities, were specifically inspected, it indicates a real commitment to practical implementation and accountability right at the operational level. It sends a clear message internally. This policy is not optional. And this is further reinforced by parliamentary oversight. The source mentions the first subcommittee of the Committee of Parliament on Official Language also carried out inspections. They looked at the ministry's autonomous and subordinate offices, including the Indian Council of World Affairs, ICWA, a key think tank, and 3 RPOs. Their focus on the progressive use of Hindi in official work of the ministry's subordinate offices, and they apparently suggested various ways to further maximize the use of official language. This indicates a pretty robust system of internal accountability and, importantly, continuous improvement.
That raises an interesting point, though. What does parliamentary oversight like that really signal about the institutional commitment to the language policy? And, what kind of challenges might an RPO, for example, actually face in maximizing the use of Hindi? And what kind of ways to maximize might a parliamentary committee suggest? Are we talking practical things?
Well, parliamentary oversight signals an unwavering, high-level political commitment that goes beyond just one ministry's mandate. It means the policy isn't just decreed, it's actively scrutinized and championed by the legislative branch. That ensures broad institutional backing, long-term sustainability. For an RPO, the challenges could be multifaceted, couldn't they? Staff proficiency in Hindi, maybe the availability of Hindi language software and forms, ensuring public-facing communication is genuinely bilingual and effective, training new employees. The committee's suggestions, well, they might range from more mandatory Hindi language training for staff, perhaps incentives for using Hindi in daily work, digitization initiatives to make forms and services easily accessible in Hindi, or maybe even dedicated Hindi cells within offices to assist with official correspondence. It's really about refining the practical implementation, identifying the bottlenecks, and ensuring continuous progress. This dual focus, internal and external, creates this cohesive and comprehensive strategy. It ensures that the message sent to the world about Hindi's global standing is authentically reflected in its national application. It truly shows the commitment to Hindi is deeply embedded within the governmental apparatus, subject to regular scrutiny and strategic enhancement.
Wow. This entire deep dive has been incredibly illuminating. It reveals a much more sophisticated, much more strategic approach than I think one might initially imagine just hearing about language promotion.
Agreed. It really is a masterclass in modern cultural diplomacy when you break it down like this.
So what does this all mean when we put it together? From our sources, it's clear we've seen this truly multifaceted approach to promoting Hindi. It ranges from those grand international conferences like the 12th World Hindi Conference in Fiji, with its incredible high-level diplomatic participation and that really forward-looking theme, traditional knowledge to artificial intelligence, to the regular, sustained global celebrations like World Hindi Day and Hindi Divas, which foster community and keep the engagement going year after year. And it's all underpinned by crucial, practical institutional support. Things like talent development initiatives, the Atal Bhashantar Yojana, future-proofing that language expertise, to those extensive global networks involving missions, diaspora organizations, and direct financial aid for teaching Hindi in communities worldwide.
Yet, these efforts, taken together, they reflect a really strategic national commitment. Using language as a powerful, dynamic tool for cultural outreach, for education, and for diplomatic engagement on a global scale. It's about establishing Hindi as a global language, not just by saying so, but through sustained, well-resourced, and deeply integrated initiatives. It positions language not just as some cultural artifact to be preserved, but as a living, evolving asset in international relations. Something capable of bridging divides and fostering deeper connections in our complex world.
Absolutely. So, wrapping up, what does this all mean for the future of global communication and cultural exchange? How do these kinds of deep dives into specific language policies inform our understanding of soft power and, the evolving linguistic landscape of our world? Think about how language, beyond just basic communication, becomes this powerful ambassador on the international stage. It's a living, breathing component of a nation's identity and how it projects itself to the world, shaping perceptions and forging alliances in ways we might not even immediately recognize, something to definitely mull over.